Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move further proceedings under the roll call be dispensed with and the Sergeant at Arms be instructed to bring in our absent members.
To that motion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. The Secretary will close the roll. Remaining under motions and resolutions, there is one author's motion to be read by the Secretary. The Secretary will read the motion.
Senator Newman moves that the name of Senator Jasinski be added as co-author to Senate File Number 1158.
To that motion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that an urgency be declared within the meaning of Article 4, Section 19 of the Constitution of Minnesota with respect to House File Number 844, and that the rules of the Senate be so far suspended to give House File 844, now on general orders, its third reading and place it on final passage. And Mr. President, I impose a call of the Senate and request a roll call.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. Motion, there's a motion for a call of the Senate. The Senate is under call. And Senator Port, that was for the entirety of this motion.
For the duration of this motion, yes.
Mr. President. Mr. President.
We're in the middle of a roll call, Senator Klein. I can't recognize you during a roll call, but we're under call of the Senate.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that further proceedings under the roll call be dispensed with and the Sergeant at Arms be instructed to bring in the absent members.
To that motion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. The Secretary will close the roll. So, members, this requires a 45 vote. Customs and usage of the body has that the maker of the motion can give a description of what the motion is about. There is, by Masons, there is no debate on the motion itself, but it is entirely proper that the maker of the motion at least describe what exactly they're doing in a brief fashion. Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is the House File 844, which we discussed earlier today and passed this body with 55 votes to move to general orders. This motion is to bring it to the floor today so that we can have the debate on price gouging to protect consumers and get it to the governor's desk today. And I encourage a green vote.
The Secretary will take the roll on the suspension of the rules. Again, this is a 45 vote requirement. Call on Senator Hur to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Hur.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Egan,
Eakin votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Fateh,
Fateh votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Frentz,
Frentz votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Johnson Stewart,
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Lopez Franson,
Lopez Franzen votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Newton,
Repeat, please.
aye for Senator Newton,
Newton votes aye. Senator Hur.
my mistake, aye for Senator Torres Ray,
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Wigger,
Uyghur votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye.
Thank you.
Call on Senator Jasinski to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll give you the first round due to conference committees. It might take a second round here, but the first round is Senator Anderson votes no.
Anderson votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Lang votes no.
Lang votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Rude votes no.
Rude votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Thomasoni votes aye.
Thomasoni votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Johnson votes no.
Johnson's on the board. Senator,
My apologies.
Senator Hur.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Mr. President, Senator Kiffmeyer votes no.
Kiffmeyer votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Benson votes no.
Benson votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Westrom votes no.
Western votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Bach votes no.
Bach votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Weber votes no.
Weber votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Eichhorn votes no.
Icahn votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes no.
Ingebrigtsen votes nay.
Absentees?
Roll is still open.
Mr. President.
Senator Jasinski.
Senator Pratt votes no.
Pratt votes nay.
Mr. President, I believe the
Senator
other two
Jasinski.
are excused.
Senator Newman is excused. I do not have an excused yet for Senator Nelson. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 39 ayes and 27 nays, the motion to suspend the rules does not prevail. Remaining on motions and resolutions, we will revert to third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House has adopted the recommendation and report of the Conference Committee in House File Number 961 and repassed said bill in accordance with the report of the committee. So adopted. House File Number 961 is a bill for an act relating to labor, adding a supervisory law enforcement unit. House File Number 961 is herewith returned or transmitted to the Senate. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Howe.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I move the foregoing recommendations and Conference Committee report on House File 961 be now adopted and the bill be repassed and as amended by the Conference Committee.
To that motion, Senator Howe.
Thank you, members. We had adopted the House language for the transition, and they adopted our provision to delete the appropriation until such time as if there is a vote and it has come to fruition that they have a new union, that at that time we could appropriate the money, and that might take 6 to 8. That might take a while, so we'll see if it ever comes to fruition, but that's what the committee report is.
On the motion to adopt the Conference Committee report, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 961, a bill for an act relating to labor.
Third reading. Secretary will take the roll on adoption of House File 961. Calling Senator Jasinski to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Thomasoni votes aye.
Thomasoni votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Western votes aye.
Western votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Weber votes aye.
Weber votes aye. Senator Jasinski. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Call Senator Hur to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Hur.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Dibble,
Dibble votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Eakin,
Eakin votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Fateh,
Fateh votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Johnson Stewart,
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Newton,
Newton votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Torres Ray,
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Hur.
aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Hur.
Thank you.
Senator Hur.
Mr. President, I'd like to report aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Hur.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Champion.
Champion votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rarick votes aye.
Rarick votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Bach votes aye.
Bach votes aye. Senator Jasinski. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Kiffmeyer votes aye.
Kiffmeyer votes aye. All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and no nays, House File 961 as amended by Conference Committee report is adopted and its title agreed to. Members remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Dames.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I move that the foregoing recommendations in Conference Committee report on Senate File 3008 be now adopted and that the bill be passed as amended by the Conference Committee.
To the motion, Senator Dames.
Well, thank you, Mr. President and members. If you remember, Senate File 3008 was referred to as the Coleman Act, and that's the bill that we sent over to the House with the Coleman Act on it. We did have a conference committee of 5 folks from the House, 5 from the Senate, and so today I'd like to present the results of that conference committee and talk about some things that are in the conference committee report. First of all, I'd like to thank the members for being on the conference committee, and certainly like to thank all 4 of the other members. Senator Jasinski was on it, Senator Housley, Senator Utke, and Senator Susan Kent. And I want to especially thank Senator Kent for working with me on this. And we did have quite a few conversations as this process was going on, trying to take into account the thoughts and opinions of the minority. And so I think all in all, the bill turned out to be a decent bill. Certainly, it's a stronger bill than I probably would prefer. But then this isn't about me. This is about the Senate. So we'll move on. The first section deals with distilled spirits and kind of the description of distilled spirits. Then we get into the description in section 2 is on malt liquor explanation, and there's been some changes made there. There are some additional grains and things that now can be used to be considered malt liquor. We get into section 3, subdivision 1. It talks about distilled spirit manufacturers and what they can sell. Currently, if you have a distillery and you're over 40,000 gallons, you cannot have a cocktail room. This would allow a cocktail room for the distillers that are based in Minnesota. However, if they're over 40,000 gallons, they would not be able to partake in another change that we've done. Another change in this is it allows the micro distilleries cocktail rooms, and a micro distillery would be described as any distiller under 40,000 gallons. They can sell one 375 milliliter, and this bill changes it to now they can sell 2 375s or 1 750 per person per day. And so the larger ones over 40,000 would not have that opportunity. There will be regulations, or not regulations, but there will be accountability on this. The Alcohol, Tobacco Tax and Trade Bureau will be putting together some standards, and those will be the accounting procedures or the record-keeping procedures that will be needed to be followed by the distillers in order to know who they're selling the alcohol to on a daily basis. There also are some off-sale packaging for small brewers. The small brewers now will be able to sell 128 ounces in what size of containers they may choose to sell it in. It could be 12-ounce cans, it could be 16-ounce cans. This will count against there is a maximum number of barrels, which is 750, that can be sold in growlers. The growler language will stay the same. This will be added to that, but the maximum number of barrels they'll be able to sell is 750. Now, this will start out for any brewer that's under 7,500 barrels. There are some cases where we have some brewers that are over 7,500, but not that much. So in order to accommodate for those folks, there's another language in here, subdivision 4, that states that if you are between 5,500 barrels as a manufacturer and 13,500 barrels as a manufacturer at the end of calendar year 2021, we will take that number, and you can continue to sell the 128 ounces on a daily basis until your annual production exceeds the number that you started at by 2,000 barrels, and then you would be taken off the list of being eligible to sell the 128 ounces. There's also some language in here dealing with wineries, and one of the things in here is if a winery manufactures more than 2,500 barrels of apple cider, that they are allowed to do some distribution on their own or own part of a distribution system, only if they cannot find a distributor that will handle their product. If there is a distributor that's willing to handle their product, then that option would not be available. And they would have to put in an affidavit stating why they could not find a distributor, et cetera. And if there is a distributor available, like I said, that option would not be available. Also, the cap on the number of barrels for selling growlers, that is being changed. Currently, that's at 40,000, and that would go to 150,000, and that would accommodate our 3 largest brewers that are domiciled in Minnesota. Also, there's language in here that changes for some of the one-offs. Every year we have people in these smaller communities that need the legislature change legislation so they can have an annual event or something like that. There's language in the bill that changes so the counties, municipalities, and cities can now handle that so they don't need to come back to us every year. Also, there's some expansions. The Minnesota Baseball Association, members of that, and the baseball teams can now have, the town ball teams can have their beer like they did with 3-2. Now they can do that with strong beer. Automobile racing has been added into the formula here, so if municipalities or cities and counties, they can now give license for these automobile racing facilities to handle beer. Also, there's a, look here and see. We also have several one-offs that, well, before I go to that, excuse me for 1 minute. There is a temporary on-sale license for the county fairs, and that allows the county fairs, the county agricultural societies to serve beverages from, I believe it changed it from 4 to 7 days, because many of our county fairs are longer than 4 days, so it changed it from 4 to 7 days. There was an article in here that would increase the number of cases of wine that could be shipped into Minnesota, and that was increased to 12. They would have to follow the same tax rules, sales tax rules, as what any other person selling wine would follow. Also, there was a lot of reporting and stuff that needed to be done by the carriers. If they shipped a case of wine, there was quite a bit of paperwork and stuff they had to do. That ended up getting left on the cutting floor, and so it's still the 2 ounces of wine or 2 cases of wine can be shipped into Minnesota without taxes. There were some changes made in what the liquor stores, the off-sale liquor stores, that they can sell. Citrus fruit was added and glassware was added to several other things that they currently can sell. There was extended hours extended for the Women's World Cup. That will sunset in 2 years. And then we get into the appropriation. There is a $250,000 a year appropriation, and that is to the Commissioner of Public Safety for hiring 2 additional full-time employees for the Division of Alcohol and Gambling. Enforcement to make sure that we have inspectors and stuff that making sure that the rules and guidelines are being met. Then we get into the Article 2, which is the various one-offs, the City of Wilmer, City of Sauk Rapids, City of St. Paul for the Thai Cultural Council, the City of St. Cloud, City of Anoka. And the City of Anoka is kind of interesting. They're requesting to have a social district, and they're in the current process of doing some changing in their downtown area, so we did grant them this to do a social district. When they start that, after the end of the second year, they need to do a report back to the department or the chairs of both the Commerce and from the House and the Senate, and reporting on, and there are several questions that they'll have to give us information on, because I'm sure if this is successful, there'll be other folks want to do it, so we want to be able to measure that. There's something in here for the city of Rochester, the city of Alexandria. And so that is, and I'm sure I've missed some things in here, but that is really the heart of the bill. And so if there's any questions, I'll certainly try to answer them. One thing I do want to continue with, the Coleman Act legislation is Section 7 through Section 9. And if we remember, the 21st Amendment allows each state to regulate the manufacture, distribution, and sale of alcohol as they see fit, so long as it does not discriminate against in-state and out-of-state participants. The law that was passed in 1973, which we refer to as the Coleman Act, had a discriminatory provision which this legislation corrects. And unlike many of the laws we pass, we already know that Senate File 3008 will pass the constitutional test because Judge Tuneheim specifically stated in his order that one way to correct our law as it relates to the Coleman Act is by passage of Senate File 3008. I do believe this is a correct approach, members, and when the file left here, it got a 66-0 vote. I know that we've accepted a lot of things that were not in that bill. I want to give you a little background history on that. There's been quite a few years to where we've been trying to get everybody together to come up with some type of an agreement on some of the alcohol stuff. And this is the result of that agreement. A lot of the things that are in this bill are the result of that agreement. And the folks that are involved in this bill have agreed that they would stay within the confines of this bill without suggesting more or asking for more alcohol changes in the next 5 years. I realize that constitutionally that doesn't mean anything. The next legislative body can change and pass bills as such as they want, and I understand that, but that's an agreement that they have amongst themselves. So with that said, members, I'll open it up for questions.
First to the adoption of the conference committee report. Senator Dames reduced his motion to adopt the conference committee report. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 3008, a bill for an act relating to liquor.
Third reading. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senator Dames. I stand in strong support for Senate File Number 3008. This is something we've been working on a long time. In my opinion, it's slightly past due, but due to lots of compromises being made, very happy. A couple of the points that I've been working on for the last couple of years and ones that I think are very, very important to Minnesota is for our Minnesota brewers and our Minnesota distillers. The growler cap at 20,000 barrels has, because brewers have become successful, has limited their business. So by raising this 20,000 barrel cap, will allow the brewers to continue to thrive in our small communities. Some of these brewers are very, very big tourism businesses for their small communities and are very important. Also the distillers as well, increasing the size to 750 milliliters makes so much sense, not to have special bottles and extra expenses for their distillers. So again, I stand very much in support of this bill. I want to thank Senator Dames for working with myself, and Senator Housley have been at his door quite often over the last couple years. I also want to thank Representative Stevenson for helping in the House to get this bill across the finish line. Members, this is a great bill. I hope you support it.
We have a very long list. It seems beer is rather popular today. Senator Dietzick.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to thank the members of the conference committee for this bill. I have a lot of distilleries and tap rooms in my district. I think at one point I might have had the most tap rooms and distilleries, and so this is very helpful for my community, and so thank you. This bill helps small businesses. These brew pubs, tap rooms, and distilleries are small businesses, and those that have succeeded, this bill will help them succeed further. These businesses are economic engines. They create a vitality in the district, and they, like Senator Jasinski said, they lots of times are tourist attractions. They do bring in people. They are they contribute to the community, they contribute to the neighborhood, so I think this is a very good bill. And again, thank you to the conference committee. Some of these have been in works for the last few years, and so appreciate all everybody's work on it, and appreciate a green vote.
Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. I definitely rise in support of passing this conference committee report. I was grateful for the opportunity to participate in the conference committee. I, like so many in this room, have worked on this issue in different ways over the past few years, and this is a big day. I specifically want to thank a couple of members of our staff. Our researcher, Krista Broughton, has done incredible work on the Commerce Committee as a whole and on this issue in particular, as well as juggling other work for our caucus. And my legislative assistant, Diana Rico, has been really helpful during this process. I also really want to thank Senator Dames for being a real partner in this and welcoming me into this discussion and keeping me informed and in the loop, and that was much appreciated. As others have said, this has been a long time coming. We know that for our brewers and distillers, they have been waiting and talking about this and asking us about it. And truly, ultimately, this is an opportunity to support these small and medium-sized businesses across Minnesota. Truly homegrown, small and middle-sized businesses. In my own district, we have Third Act Brewery. It's owned by Deb and Steve Long, and I reached out to Deb last night to let her know that this was actually happening, and it was great to talk to somebody who appreciates just how much this is going to mean. And last, and others have talked about this, you know, one of the things that I think has been interesting after so many economic factors have made our main streets and particularly in our smaller communities really struggle. We've seen many cases where these particular businesses are bringing real new vitality to these communities. I and my family spent a lot of time up on the North Shore, and to see what Castle Danger has brought to downtown Two Harbors is pretty remarkable. And similarly, further up the North Shore in Grand Marais, Voyagers Brewing Company is a real asset to that community. So members, again, I want to thank you and so many for their work on this issue, and strongly encourage a green vote.
Senator Latz.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. As this bill relates to the Coleman Act, this legislation corrects any discrimination, but it preserves the spirits open wholesaling provisions, which support the integrity of the three-tier system by prohibiting sole distributorships in the spirits market, promoting price competition between wholesalers, and discouraging monopolistic practices that may impede effective regulation of the spirits market. This legislation is also important to our constituents because it promotes a wider distribution of spirits brands throughout the state by giving retailers the opportunity and choice to purchase spirits brands from competing wholesalers. This is an important component of this bill, and while I support the other pieces in this as well, I encourage members to vote green on this report.
Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, rise in support of this conference committee report. We have been working on this for over 8 years, and so today's win is today's passing of this conference committee report is a huge win for our small breweries. The craft beer industry is vital to all of our communities, and removing this growler cap will allow these businesses to grow. These breweries have been operating at a severe disadvantage for so long that this is really provides more opportunities for them. We have a couple of them up here in the gallery, some of the small breweries. We've got Surly up, Fulton, Liftbridge, which is in my community, and Castle Danger and Shells, and Indeed weren't able to make it down here at such a quick notice, but it's been truly a grassroots effort by all of these breweries to, we are gonna miss the breweries tours, but as one staffer said, we need to do a victory lap, so just throwing that out there. But I do want to thank Senator Dames for agreeing by the agreement, and Senator Jasinski, and I also want to thank Rep. Stevenson, and also I'd like to thank Owen Neubauer, because I don't know, as he's only been Senator Dames' committee administrator for 1 year, and somehow Owen's going to take a victory lap to these breweries too. But I truly want to thank Senator Dames and for all of the brewers that are here today and for their grassroots efforts. So thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I know there's been a lot of work done on this bill and a lot of good things that people are talking about today. So I don't want to be the killjoy here, but I do want to ask Senator Dames if he would yield for a question.
Senator Dames will yield. Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Dames, I just have a couple of quick questions here. Regarding the bill, we understand that we're making it easier for these businesses to operate within the state. We're also making it easier for consumers to be able to find their favorite draft beer, distilled liquor, or whatever you have. Could you tell me a little bit about this bill and the resources that we've invested into social services, law enforcement, addiction counseling, and those types of items, please?
Senator Dames.
Well, thank you, Mr. President and Senator Johnson. The investment in this bill is the $250,000 per year for the 2 new inspectors that we will have through the Alcohol Enforcement Bureau.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And maybe I wasn't clear with that, Senator Dames. So the individuals and the families across our communities who are struggling with alcohol addiction and the related problems due to that, how much resources are we going to be investing through this increased access and business opportunity to those communities, counties, law enforcement agencies, and others?
Senator Dames will continue to yield. Senator Dames.
And I don't have an answer for that, Senator Johnson.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. And that's what I was afraid of in looking at this as well. I don't mean to be a killjoy. I'm not up here to throw water on this at all, but we do have to understand that with the increase of the individual benefits of this bill, of consumers and of the businesses that are on there, we socialize the cost of things like this, whether it's this or sports betting or other things. Our communities pick up the cost for that. Law enforcement picks up the cost for that. MA picks up the cost for that. Social services of all sorts picks up the cost for that, increasing not only our property taxes, but our income taxes. And that's just a small part of it. Taxes are things that fine if you don't mind being the 3rd and 4th highest tax state in the nation. Just think of what this is doing to the families, to the communities that we represent as well. And I think if we increase the access to this, if we increase the business opportunity, then fine, we can do that. But I hope that we're also paying attention to our responsibility, to what's going on back at home, and that when we go and answer to our constituents, that we've got a good reason for the things that we are doing. And right now, with the bill that as it sits, with the lack of investment in those services that we have across the state, I cannot vote in favor of this bill.
Next is Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're just doing a walk down memory lane here to try to figure out when Senator Scheid passed the Surly bill and when I chaired the subcommittee on liquor, which I think was back in 2005, maybe 2006. Senator Housley mentioned this has been 8 years, but we've been trying to modernize liquor laws even longer than that, and it's been slowly coming, and this is a tremendous breakthrough. I really want to applaud all the members of the conference committee, Senator Dames, representative from that other body who chaired the Commerce Committee with you. This is really important, as has been mentioned, about for a lot of these small businesses, whether they're tap rooms, craft breweries, brew pubs, micro distilleries. It adds a lot of vitality to our communities when we support these small businesses, and we know a lot of people love to go to them and are now returning after they struggled like many businesses did during COVID. So I'm very excited. I was always kind of jealous at Wisconsin or Colorado that they had a much more robust industry in this area, in this craft brewery area, but now I think we've pretty much caught up, and this will just really help a great deal. So thank you all who worked so hard on this bill.
Senator Osmick.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. So one of the first things that the first bills I jumped onto was Senator Pappas's bill to change the growler caps way back in 2013, and now we're here after 10 years, and we're actually getting maybe to the finish line. And I really do appreciate Senator Dames allowing these provisions that, in my opinion, are very common sense. The small cans, this has something for everybody, so to speak. Lifting the growler cap is important. Well, it's not terribly important for the large brewers, the Surleys, not to give them free advertisement on the floor, but as an example, they are a large outfit. They have plenty in the distribution chain, but when they go to their facility, it's a novelty to bring home a growler of their beverage. It's not something that they really have a ton of sales in, but it helps. It's something that it's a novelty for people to have, as well as I think Bent Paddle also is in the same area of being at the growler cap. But the other part of this is the small can size, and that's really important. It's something I've been advocating for a number of years. We finally hit the sweet spot where the smaller guys who are now have invested in some of these canning operations or really small canning jobs. My wife is actually stopping in Nisswa on the way home with a couple of growlers of mine, and I'm hoping to see a couple of 4-packs at some point in time from Big Axe. But those small cans are really important to these smaller brewers because it allows them to have a fresher product and be able to sell to people where you only have to open one can as opposed to drinking an entire bottle. And I'm sure there's a lot of people around here who like to drink an entire growler at a sitting. That could be difficult for some people, but it also creates a better product where you can keep coming back, and it allows a little bit of distribution. And I think that's all these smaller brewers are asking for, is a little consideration to sell these smaller can sizes. I'm glad we've gotten to that point. So thank you, Mr. President. Good bill. Vote green.
Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was so excited in my previous discussion, I forgot to mention one thing, and one thing I'd urge. I hope the House is waiting for this anxiously so they can pass it today, get it to the governor, and to my understanding, the language says day upon following enactment, so it would be a great Memorial Day weekend for our local distillers and our local breweries, especially our local breweries, to sell growlers. So free the growler. Look forward to a green vote.
Senator Nelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And I just stand in strong support of this bill and was also remembering our former Senator Linda Scheid as she brought forth that first Shirley bill. And what a step that was. And I just want to celebrate this success of Minnesota innovators, brewers, tap rooms, and distilleries. And it has become quite an economic boom in our communities all across the state. We have bike trails that go from brewery to brewery, to tap room to tap room. I have constituents who schedule their vacations around visiting new tap rooms. It is truly a Minnesota success, and I really salute those who stood up early and delved into our tap rooms and our brew pubs and those special recipes, those special brews that come out at special times. It's just very exciting. It's a huge Minnesota success. We celebrate that today, and we look forward to even more successes tomorrow. And I salute the small businesses who have made this possible. And we know the last couple years have been a bit tough, but we know that this is bright tomorrows. Thank you.
Any other discussion on Senate File 3008? Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I neglected to thank all the stakeholders and the organizations that are supporting the craft brewery industry, and the unions that work so hard with the legislators to put this bill together. I think if they had not stayed persistent, and we did lots of tours, didn't we, Senator Housley and Senator Jasinski and others, and to just try to keep the issue alive and keep working on it. And thank you so much for all your hard work.
Any other discussion on Senate File 3008? Final comments. Senator Dames.
Well, thank you, Mr. President and members. One thing I did forget to point out, and I apologize, is there was a provision for a liquor council in the bill when it first came to the conference committee, and that liquor council language has been taken out. So I just wanted to make sure that that got pointed out. And at this time, I'd just like to thank some of the people that worked hard to get this done. Certainly, we've recognized some already, but I'd like to thank my LA, Lauren Dower, the committee administrator, Orrin Neubauer, John Cotter, the researcher, and Casey and Chris, the nonpartisan folks that worked very hard on this. And folks, this is a culmination of several years, as we've heard, and I would appreciate a green vote. The governor has agreed that and we've agreed to move this over to the House. They've agreed to try to take it up yet this afternoon, and the governor says he will sign it as soon as it hits his desk, because we do know that we're on a short timeline here. We have 2 days. I don't have the exact date here, but it's 2 days after sine die that this has to be back to the courts according to the stay they put on it. So, members, I would appreciate your support, and we can get this taken care of. Thank you.
The Secretary will take the roll on Senate File 3008. I call on Senator Herr to report the votes of members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Herr.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Dibble.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Frentz.
Frentz votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Champion.
Champion votes aye.
Aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy votes aye.
Thank you.
I call on Senator Jasinski to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes no.
Anderson votes no. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Kiffmeyer votes aye.
Kiffmeyer votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Tomasoni votes aye.
Tomasoni votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Western votes aye.
Western votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Howell votes aye.
Howell votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. All members having voted who desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 64 ayes and 4 nays. Excuse me, thank you. There being 62 ayes and 4 nays. The bill is passed and its title agreed to.
Remaining under motions and resolutions, we will move to the 11th order of business, consent calendar. There are 2 items to take up under consent calendar today. First item, Senate File 702, Senator Chamberlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you mentioned, Senate File 702 is a consent calendar proposal. Came from the Education Committee. It is simply has to do with reading and reading wars. Yes, reading wars. Over the last 20 years, there has been reading wars. Currently in statute, we have a couple of things. Science of reading is defined in statute. That is the only way to teach reading to kids. Science of reading. Scientifically proven, researched, and results-based. Pure and simple, that's the only way. But we still have in statute some language that would require our educators to teach whole language. Whole language just means bad way to teach reading. It doesn't work. So this Senate File 702, sent out of K-12 committee for consent calendar, strikes only one word from statute, and that is the word balanced. And by striking that word, we will forever be done with the reading wars, and we will never have to talk about whole language again, and that can be forgotten and written from history. So members, that's what it is: easy, consent, full agreement, and it's just better for educators. One word. Thank you.
Discussion to the bill. Senator Weaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in strong bipartisan support. Wanted to add that this is also supported by the Department of Education. We strongly support evidence-based, science-based solutions. Vote green.
Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 702, a bill for an act relating to education.
Third reading. Secretary will take the roll and final passage of Senate File 702. Call on Senator Jasinski to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Thomasoni votes aye.
Thomasoni votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Westrom votes aye.
Western votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Jasinski. Call on Senator Hur to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Hur.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Dibble.
Dibble votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Frantz.
Frantz votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Wicklund.
Wicklund votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy votes aye. Senator Hur.
And aye for Senator Port.
Port votes aye.
Thank you. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Kiffmeyer votes aye.
Kiffmeyer votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Howell votes aye.
Howell votes aye. All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 64 ayes and no nays, Senate File 702 does pass and is title agreed to. The second and final item on Senate consent calendar is number 3, Senate File 3534, Senator Chamberlin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate File 3534, as you said, is on the consent calendar. It came from K-12 committee as well. It is about charter schools. Under current law, a charter school is not allowed to limit admissions based on academic achievement, intellect, or athletics, or anything that's contrary to that statute. So, but this proposal makes a narrow exception to that law. If you are, pertains to charter school that mainly serves deaf or hard of hearing children. What it says is if the charter school is at least 90%, serves 90% deaf or hard of hearing children, then they can give preference in admission to those children with those special needs. This would allow the charter school to continue its unique mission. Instead of expanding and focusing on a lot of other things, they continue to focus on the mission of serving deaf and hard of hearing children. So this just allows that exception in law, makes life a lot easier for them, for the staff, and for the children there as well. So that is it. It's again on the consent calendar. Thank you.
Senator Weaker.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, offer strong bipartisan support for this initiative. Thank you, Senator Chamberlain. This is carved out with a very important exception. I'll note earlier the gallery was full, and that was the Metro School for the Deaf and in St. Paul, and they're an enthusiastic group. The number of students, parents, staff were here. They appreciate our support. Vote green.
Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 3534, a bill and act relating to education.
Third reading. Secretary will take the roll on final passage of Senate File 3534. I call on Senator Hur to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Hur.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator France.
France votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Hur.
And aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy
Thank
votes
you.
aye. Call on Senator Jasinski to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Thomasoni votes aye.
Thomasoni votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Western votes aye.
Western votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Jasinski. So. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
And thank you, Mr. President. Finally, Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. All members having voted with desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and no nays, Senate File 3534 does pass, and its title agreed to. Senator Miller, remaining under motions and resolutions.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills made special order for immediate consideration. The list is on your desk.
Five bills on special orders today. First bill on special orders is House File 3346, number 64, on general orders. Senator Koran.
Thank you, Mr. President. Happy to present House File 3346. What this bill is a culmination of all the labor agreements and memo of understandings that were negotiated over the last year, a little bit over a year. The Subcommittee on Employee Relations recommended to pass almost unanimously. The ratification plans cover all of the agreements or all of the plans that we have out there in the MOUs, except the engineering plans. What this covers, and we've got one retroactive pay plan, which is the Minnesota Law Enforcement Association from 2021. 2022, 2023 contracts included in the agreement or in the contract are the AFSCME, MAPE, Middle Management Association, State Residential Schools Education Association, Minnesota Nurses Association, Minnesota Law Enforcement Association, the current contract, employees covered under the compensation plan, such as the managerial plan, commissioner's plans, and the Office of the Legislative Auditor. Also include our 2022-23 Minnesota state agreements and plans, along with several memorandums of understanding. And again, the engineering contract is the only one outstanding. The Minnesota Law Enforcement Association on the 2021 or 2020-2021 payment salary increases were 2.25%, and the 2021 are 2.5%. The 2022-2023 agreements include a 2.5% increase across the board. All the agreements that were submitted by Materials Management and Budget, it covers over 39,000 employees. The Minnesota state contracts cover about 4,500 employees. Within the MOUs, they provide a variety of incentives, and we had to make some changes for those that have additional work shifts in the 24/7 operations, create some financial incentives for the tough labor market out there for recruitment, retention, and really hard to fill positions. Also permits employees to use sick leave, care for minor children in case of quarantines. There's some pay equity adjustments and increases for radio operators, as well as creating some new salary ranges for law enforcement supervisors. On the benefits side, the medical plans have virtually stayed the same. There's some small changes in the emergency rooms, out-of-pocket costs. One change in enrollment for dental plans. Instead of only being open for the contract year, they're open both years of the contract. All the medical premiums and estimated costs to this contract are anticipated to be about 3% for the contract period. The financial costs to the contracts in the new biennium monies, $468,765,426,000, and then the next biennium on the tails, this cost is $726,036,686. Members, I like to call it a couple components to this bill, and the contracts that we worked on is the Minnesota Law Enforcement Association, the 2021 or the 2020 and 2021 contract. That change was pretty significant when we're trying to bring parity to our law enforcement. And in that component, we already talked about the cost of living increases, but it also included the legislative increases from 2021 during the special session, which included an 8.45% increase in salaries across the board, in addition to 10.45% salary increases of those at the top of their salary range. I'd also like to call one other component, which is important and to a vital agency. One of the memo of understandings includes the legislative auditor. And if anybody who's been a part of that understands that they are our eyes and ears for not only the legislature, but for the citizens of Minnesota. What we did in that contract, or what they did in the MOU, is change the pay salaries and the pay ranges to accommodate and hopefully retain the employees we have. If you don't know, we're short 8 to 9 financial auditors, which are vital, Our legislative auditor did a great job and found a compensating package or a similar package that's more competitive. Still doesn't meet the competitive or the complex needs or nature of the Office of the Legislative Auditor, but we think it'll help retain it. So they adopted a judiciary plan, and we hope that retains the employees because their unique losses are not to outside or private sector, they're losing them to other agencies. So those are the various components of the contracts. I'll stand for questions, and would like a green vote when we're through.
Discussion to House File 3346. Senator Isaacson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am very pleased to see this and thank Senator Koran and all the good people that do wonderful work for our state and our various public employees, whether we're talking about MAPE, AFSCME, IFO, and many other organizations that do a wonderful job keeping our state running. I am pleased that we're able to bring these contracts to the floor and pass them. I think it's vitally important that we continue to show our robust support for our state employees as they make sure our state continues to be an amazing place to live, and I'm so glad we're passing them. Thank you.
Senator Herr.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill, and I thank you the work of Senator Koran and Senator Isaacson. I rise in support because my constituents are consistent and persistent in asking me to pay attention to this bill of labor contract. It was negotiating good faith with modest increase and the budget are reappropriate, as Senator Koran mentioned at the beginning of our biennium. And our state government worker like MAPE and IFO asked me, Minnesota Nurse Association had been anticipated for this day. And they were the one that keep our state government in operation. They work tirelessly and in many cases put themselves in the front line and put themselves and their family at risk of the pandemic as well. So let's honor the agreement that we work on and pass this bill on behalf of our state employees who are the backbone of our state. Thank you.
Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 3346, a bill for an act relating to state government ratifying certain labor agreements and compensation plans.
Third reading. Senator Bigham.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a member of the Subcommittee on Employee Relations, along with Senator Koran and Senator Isaacson, it is very interesting to get to see all of the different contracts and hear about all the different duties and all the wonderful work that our employees do. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you, because we've asked so much of them over the last couple of years, whether it's been the pandemic or just the struggle of workforce issue in Minnesota. So I just want to say thank you and encourage a green vote, Mr. President.
Senator Abler.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think sometimes people think that state employees matters or some kind of partisan issue. And I think hopefully today's vote will show that actually it's so far from the truth. But I want to take a minute just to commend, I don't even know how many, I know it's a huge bunch of contracts, but you know, a lot of these folks, any of these folks could get a job anywhere else. And sometimes they're even more money, but they choose to work on behalf of us, the citizens who are served by the government and the people that so rely on the services they provide. And you know, we've talked about frontline heroes, and they're not related to that so much, although some of those are frontline heroes. But they're the unsung heroes, the unsung workers that make it all work. And I don't know even a fraction of all the workers that are there doing what they do. But I can tell you the ones I have are to a person, exemplary, committed, and just a real tribute to the calling that they have made their careers. And I'm so happy to be voting green on this. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to also support this legislation. And one of the compensations that state employees have, in spite of the fact that their salaries are lower often than what the market rate is in the private sector, is we have really great public pension plans. And I'm really hoping Senator Rosen and the Pension Commission worked very hard to prepare a new pension plan. We had a great one we passed in 2018, but we have another one. And I'm just hoping that before the end of the session that the powers that be will agree on the financial aspects, and we'll again be able to pass a great pension plan. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll on House File 3346. Call on Senator Hur to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Hur.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Hur.
I report aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Frantz.
Frantz votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Kunesh.
Kunesh votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Hur.
Aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy votes aye.
Thank you.
Call on Senator Eichhorn to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Eichhorn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rarick votes already voted. Senator Pratt votes yes.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Tomassoni votes aye.
Tomassoni votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Jasinski votes aye.
Jasinski votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Westrom votes aye.
Westrom votes aye.
And I'll probably have a couple more. Bear with me just a moment.
All members having voted with the desire to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and no nays. House File 3346 does pass and its title agreed to. Second item on the special orders agenda, House File 2354, number 51 on special orders, Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senate File 2354. I'm getting a different number here on my files, so just clarifying to make sure that's right. Oh, the House file. Yep, you're right. Thank you. So thank you, Mr. President. So this, despite some concern that this bill was an attempt of Canada to take over northern Minnesota by one of my colleagues. This has nothing to do with that. This is simply a uniform registration of Canadian money judgments, allowing for an easier process for money judgments that are done in the Canadian courts to be registered in Minnesota courts. Currently, we have to start a lawsuit in Minnesota to transfer over that judgment and allow for collection here on the U.S. side in Minnesota. This is something that's done in quite a few states across the U.S. We are just adding our state to the list of states that are doing this. It really just simplifies the process of doing this. It's gone through all the committee processes and had unanimous support. Good bill, vote green.
Further discussion to House File 2354. Seeing no discussion, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File number 2354, bill for an act relating to judgments enacting the uniform registration of Canadian money.
Third reading. Secretary will take the roll and final passage of House File 2354. Calling Senator Eichhorn to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Eichhorn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Pratt votes yes.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Tomassoni votes aye.
Tomassoni votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Jasinski votes aye.
Jasinski votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes votes aye.
Ingebretson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Westrom votes aye.
Western votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Duckworth votes aye.
Duckworth votes aye.
That is all I have at the moment, Mr. President.
Call on Senator Herr to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Herr.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy votes aye.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and no nays, House File 2354 does pass, and its title agreed to. Third bill on the agenda, House File 2665, number 50, on general orders. Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate that. Up here is Senate File, or it's actually House File 2665. This is another bill that we have up to really clarify some issues that we have in current law, a deficit dealing with harassment and restraining orders. Currently for an emancipated youth, they do not have protections that you'd find underneath an order for protection. That typically relates to family members in more of a domestic setting like this. This allows for someone who's emancipated from their family, someone who's living independently, has independent means of living, away from their family, to get this harassment restraining order. They need these protections for non-family members who might be in a position to harass and whatnot for that individual. So this just aligns the law and it gives them that particular protection. So, Mr. President, that is all I have. Any questions, I'd be happy to take.
Discussion of House File 2665. Senator Bigham.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to wait for you to go to third reading, but I just want to encourage a green vote on this bill. This is really important. When you think about it, when emancipated youth need to be able to have the tools to protect themselves as an adult would. And this really is an important policy that's probably been overlooked for too long, so I thank Senator Johnson for bringing it forward, and we had really good testimony in committee and would appreciate a green vote.
Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File number 2665, a bill for an act relating to courts.
Third reading. Secretary will take the roll on House File 2665.
Mr. President, have a few votes to report.
I recognize Senator Eichhorn to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Rarick votes aye.
Rarick votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Thomasoni votes aye.
Thomasoni votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Jasinski votes aye.
Jasinski votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Westrom votes aye.
Westrom votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Duckworth votes aye.
Duckworth votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
And Senator Dames votes aye.
Dames votes aye. I call on Senator Hurd to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Hurd.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Hurd.
And aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy votes aye.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 65 ayes and no nays, House File 2665 does pass as title agreed to. Fourth item on agenda, House File 18... Senator Bigham, will you make the motion to reconsider? Senator Bigham, we have a member who did not make it onto the board, and she would like to be able to vote on this. So, Senator Bigham, would you make the motion to reconsider the vote on House File 1829?
Mr. President, I move to reconsider House File 1829.
To that motion,
Mr. President,
Senator Utke.
that's the wrong file number.
I'm sorry, it's House File 2665. Yours is the next, or Utke is the next one, sorry. House File 2665.
Mr. President, I move to reconsider House File 2665.
And Senator Bigham did vote on the prevailing side. All those in favor of the motion to reconsider the vote on House File 2665 signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. In front of us again is third reading with a roll call on 2665. The bill gets its third reading.
House File 2665, a bill for an act relating to courts.
Third reading. The Secretary will take the roll on final passage of House File 2665. I call Senator Hurd to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Hurd.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Hurd.
Aye for Senator Torres-Ray.
Torres-Ray votes aye. Senator Her.
Aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Her.
Aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy votes aye. Senator Her.
And that's it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Calling Senator Eichhorn to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Eichhorn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rarick votes aye.
Rarick votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Tomasoni votes aye.
Tomasoni votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Jasinski votes aye.
Jasinski votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Westrom votes aye.
Westrom votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Duckworth votes aye.
Duckworth votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Dame votes aye.
Dames votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
That is what I have at the moment, Mr. President.
All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and no nays, House File 2665 does pass, and its title agreed to. Fourth item on the agenda, House File 1829, number 31 on general order, Senator Utke.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, House File 1829 makes sure that someone who is or would like to be a living donor, a living organ donor, is not discriminated against when purchasing life insurance, long-term care, or disability insurance policies. We want to make sure that coverage is not declined or limited due to their choice of being a living organ or bone marrow donor, and without additional actuarial risks or costs. Receiving a transplant from a living donor is considered the gold standard treatment and not only provides better outcomes for the recipient, but also helps reduce the wait time for those that are on that wait list for donors. Some donors have faced discrimination obtaining and affording life, disability, or long-term care insurance in the form of higher premiums or even being declined in their option to obtain those coverages because of their status of being a living donor. This bill also has a significant positive financial impact for employers and Medicaid and Medicare. It will reduce government spending on patients who no longer need the extended health care as a result of receiving a transplant, while also vastly improving their quality of life. The Minnesota Insurance and Financial Services Council support this legislation because being an organ donor has no long-term impact on one's insurability. To donate an organ, living donors must meet strict health standards and are often in better health than the general populace. Members, that's it. It's a short bill. We just want to make sure that there is no discrimination when these people choose to buy some of these insurance policies, and I ask for your support.
Discussion of House File 1829, Senator Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Senator Utke, for getting this bill past the finish line. It's been a long time coming. I first started advocating, I think, in 2019. Encouraging kidney donations from living donors would expand the number of transplants in our country and provide more end-stage renal disease patients with the opportunity to live a life without dialysis. Giving the gift of a kidney is the ultimate altruistic act. I just think about that. My mother had a kidney issue, and I thought, what's going to happen if she needs to have a new kidney? Will someone in the family be a match? Fortunately, you can live with one kidney, and she was able to live many years with just one kidney, had her kidney removed. In other words, continuing those who offer their organs so another can live more fully should be rewarded and should be protected. The Living Donor Protection Act aims to ensure living organ donors are able to find insurance when they take the necessary time off for the life-saving procedure of donating an organ. And members, I think we would all appreciate your vote for this. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 1829, a bill for an act relating to commerce prohibiting discrimination against organ or bone marrow donors.
Third reading. The Secretary will take the roll and final passage of House File 1829.
Mr. President?
You are efficient, Senator Eichhorn.
I'm on
I
top
call
of it
Senator
today.
Eichhorn to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Rarick votes aye.
Rarick votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Tomasoni votes aye.
Tomasoni votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Jasinski votes aye.
Jasinski votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Westrom votes aye.
Westrom votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Duckworth votes aye.
Duckworth votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Dames votes aye.
Senator Goggin votes aye.
Goggin votes aye. Call on Senator Herr to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Herr.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy votes aye.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 66 ayes and no nays, House File 1829 does pass and is titled to agreed to. Members, you may want to stay close to your desk on some of these bills. These are relatively non-controversial, and certainly we'd like to save our time as much as we can for getting through this session. Senator, next file is final on special orders today. House File 3249, number 26 on general order. Senator Bigham.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll make this quick. This bill, House File 3249, is about the Safe at Home program, which is state's address confidentiality program for people with very high safety needs. So think victims and survivors of domestic abuse, police, fire, prosecutors, judges. The program began in 2007. There are about a dozen states with the program like Safe at Home. Now there are approximately 40 states with the address confidentiality program. House File 3249 presents clarifying and technical changes real quickly. These changes were made in coordination with the community and county partners. It'll prove the program's effectiveness, particularly for participants who purchase real property. First section clarifies the definition of mail and what packages the program are required to forward. Second, it literally adds the word or entity to clarify the program notices that a participant might provide to apply to individual or entities. Third section modifies language around notices for landlords that might post to clarify that they should not post anything that displays a program participant's name. and the remaining sections make modifications to Chapter 13 to improve processes of home purchases, government data maintenances, and notices provided to the government entities. That's the bill. Would appreciate a green vote.
Senator Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. President. As chair of the Civil Law Committee, we heard this bill. I'd encourage members to vote green.
Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 3249, a bill for an act relating to state government.
Third reading. The Secretary will take the roll on final passage of House File 3249. I call on Senator Eichhorn to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Eichhorn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report an aye for Senator Rarick.
Rarick votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Pratt votes aye.
Pratt votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Rude votes aye.
Rude votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Thomasoni votes aye.
Thomasoni votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Jasinski votes aye.
Jasinski votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Benson votes aye.
Benson votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Ingebrigtsen votes aye.
Ingebrigtsen votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Westrom votes aye.
Westrom votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Duckworth votes aye.
Duckworth votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Dames votes aye.
Dames votes aye. Senator Eichhorn.
And finally, Senator Housley votes aye.
Housley votes aye. Call on Senator Herr to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Herr.
Mr. President, I report aye for Senator Eakin.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Fateh.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Johnson Stewart.
Johnson Stewart votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Kunish.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Lopez Franson.
Lopez Franson votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Newton.
Newton votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Rest.
Rest votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Torres Ray.
Torres Ray votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Wickland.
Wickland votes aye. Senator Herr.
Aye for Senator Murphy.
Murphy votes aye.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Senator Eichhorn.
Senator Nelson votes aye.
Nelson votes aye. All members having voted with the desire to vote. Senator Senjum, your button has already been pushed. Senator Senjum votes green again. All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 64 ayes and no nays. House File 3249 does pass. This title agreed to. Remaining under motions and resolutions, we have one author's motion. The Secretary will read the motion.
Senator Champion moves that the name of Senator Dibble be added as co-author of Senate File Number 3789.
To that motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, motion does prevail. Moving to the 13th order of business, announcements of Senate interest, Senator Friends.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would Senator Miller yield for a question?
He will yield. Senator Friends.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Miller, just wondering on behalf of the Minority Caucus if you're able to give us any description of the weekend, the schedule, some of our aspirations in the Senate, and for what we're going to cover.
Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President, Senator Frentzen, members. The Speaker and I just had a meeting 30 minutes ago or so, trying to find some agreement on some areas of common ground. I would expect to be here through the weekend.
Without objection, the following senators will be excused from today's session. Senator Kunish, 1 o'clock until 2:30 p.m. Senator Newman, 1 o'clock to the end of session. Senator Nelson, 2:20 to 2:30 p.m. Senator Goggin and Senator Kiffmeyer from 4 p.m. to the end of session. Any further announcements? Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I was not sure if it's true or not, but I heard it might be someone's birthday today. Senator Isaacson, happy birthday. That's the rumor. Well, happy birthday, Senator Isaacson. Don't worry, I won't recess and sing to you, but I did want to wish you a happy birthday.
On that motion.
That's everyone would appreciate that. Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until Saturday, May 21st at 1 p.m.
To that motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. The Senate is adjourned.